Hello everybody, I'm Thomas and welcome back to another video. This time I am back with another tier list video where I'm going to be ranking every board game that's either in my collection currently or has been in my collection at some point. Now last time I went through and ranked all of my tabletop RPGs. I'll also be doing one more ranking video after this one where I will rank all of the solitaire card games I have played. So if you want to see either of those other two videos, I'll have them linked in the description. But today's going to be a long one because I have a lot of games to get through. So like I said, I'm ranking every game that's either currently in my collection or has been in my collection. The only caveat is I've had to have played it at least 2 times. And here's all the games. There's a lot, 105 to be specific. So I'm going to be going through these pretty quickly because there's a lot to get through and I don't want this video being super long. I'll be doing a tier list, so S is the best, and then A, B, C, and D are just further going down the list of just going lower in quality. Like I said, I'm gonna not be dwelling too much on the individual explanations because I need to get through a lot of these, but let me know what you think. Are there any games that stood out that my opinions are way off? I know I'm probably gonna have some different opinions than a lot of you on some of these games, but I'm looking forward to this and seeing, what games will lie where. So with that all out of the way, let's get started. All right, so these games I put in alphabetical order. They should be mostly, some of them might be a little bit off, but starting off with 20 Strong. I have Solar Sentinels here, but this is for all 20 Strong. I wasn't too crazy about this series, if I'm being honest. I wanted to like it more. The quality was great, but I'm gonna put it in B tier. I wasn't too crazy about it. Next is Seven Wonders Duel, the 2-player version of Seven Wonders, Civilization dueling game. I quite like this, not crazy about it. I think I like original Seven Wonders better. I'm also gonna put this in B tier. Agropolis, the, sequel of Sprawlopolis, button shy game where you're building a city. Also probably gonna put it in B tier. Maybe I'd put it above both of these. I will be also, like, as I'm kind of showing here, kind of ranking them in the order. The best is gonna be the first, and then the last will be the worst in like each individual tier. Next up is Arkham Horror, the Living Card Game. I feel like this has to go in S tier, even though it's not one I play super often, and I get the rules wrong a lot. I still think it's one of the big first solo games I played that really got me into solo gaming, and it's still one that I greatly enjoy, even though I don't play it too much. Attack on Titan, the deck building game. Attack on Titan is my favorite show ever. This game is not that good. I'm gonna put it in maybe C tier. I'm debating D tier, but I think that's where it belongs. It's a cool theme, cool game. It just doesn't, I don't know, maybe needs some slight rule modifications to really make it work, I think. Next is Azul, a game that's no longer in my collection because I'm not really a fan of it. I'm not really a fan of abstract games. I would put this in C tier. It's a beautiful looking game, don't get me wrong, but I don't really like it anymore, and that's why I got rid of it. So next is Bandito. I'm gonna put this in D tier. I really don't like Bandito. One thing I really do like in games is when each turn I have interesting decisions. Bandito is not that. Bandito is pretty abstract, and it's also easily the most swinging game I have ever played in my life, where some games can literally take a minute to play, and some games can take 30 minutes to play, and it's just so swingy. I don't think the choices are that interesting. I'm not really a fan of it personally. Next is Bonanza, a game I've recently played within the last month for the first time. Thoroughly blown away. Uwe Rosenberg, I'm putting this in S tier. I loved this game from my couple of plays I've played it, and I'm dying to play more of it. It is just such a fun trading, negotiating game. Next is Brass Birmingham. I'm gonna put this in A tier. I thought it was really fun. I wasn't great at it when I played it, but it looks beautiful. I liked the concepts in it. The solo mode played pretty well, especially when I played with the app. All in all, solid game, and it's still, I think, the #1 game on Board Game Geek, so I gotta give it an A tier at the very least. Next is Bullet Heart. Has got to go top of my S tier for the time being. I think this is maybe gonna stay there because it's one of, if not my favorite games in my entire collection. I love this game so much. I've played it so much on the channel. You can hear me rant about it more there, but just all the characters and game modes and the actual gameplay itself, all of it is so fun, so interesting, and it deserves top of the S tier. Next is Cartographers, the flip and write game. Cartographers goes in the old C tier, I'd say. We'll put it at the bottom of C tier. I thought it was just fine. It has some interesting things with it. I got rid of it. I don't have it anymore. Yeah, it just didn't blow me away. Speaking of games that start with C, Cascadia I'm probably going to put in the C tier. I just, maybe I'll put it like above Cartographers. I wasn't too blown away with it. I'm not big on abstract games. That's one thing you'll kind of see as the list goes on. And Cascadia, I don't know, it didn't really have anything too interesting. While there was some interesting stuff you could do with like getting this gold cards with the different animals, I just thought it wasn't really for me. Next is Castles of Burgundy, specifically the card game. This is one I have not played in a really long time. So I'm gonna put it in C tier again because I don't remember too much what I thought of it. Maybe I put it there. It's one I need to try to return to. Yeah, I don't know. I need to try it again because it's been so long since I played it. So my memory of it is a bit foggy. So next is Cat in the Box, the quantum trick-taking game. One game I really wanted to like, but just didn't. I like trick-taking. I'm almost tempted to put in D tier. I'm gonna put in low C tier. I liked it in concept, trick-taking, great, quantum, cool theme. It just didn't work for me. I just did not like it at all. I really wanted to, but maybe I need to play it more and try it again, but I don't know. Next is Cockroach Poker, one of the earlier games in my collection where it's a bluffing type game, pretty simple. I think I'm also gonna put this in C tier. It's one that I've played a bunch and it's has pretty basic choices and it's nothing too crazy. It's fun for what it is, but I just don't find myself wanting to play it very much anymore. Next is Codenames, the original, and Codenames Duet, the word games. I'm gonna put Codenames, the original, in C tier, B tier, C tier. I'll put it in C tier, maybe like below Cascade, yeah, maybe even like down there. But Codenames Duet, I love co-op games, so I'm gonna put this in B tier. It's still not word games I like, and I like the idea of Codenames. Maybe I'll put them both in B tier. I do like Codenames, and I got rid of the original because I have the Duet version. Fun ideas, yeah. Word games aren't my favorite, but I think these are pretty good. Coffee Roaster, the solo bag building coffee game. I'm gonna put this in A tier. I think it's a really interesting concept, plays pretty well. Some things are a little confusing with like the bean powers, but I think just the theme and the gameplay, it's a great game. Compile, the 2-player AI dueling game. I think this belongs in S tier. I really was blown away when I bought this at Gen Con this last year. I demoed it and immediately bought it after because I was blown away by the demo. The cards look great, the gameplay is so fun, and it's a very, very fun 2-player dueling game. What can I say? Next is Coop, however you want to pronounce that. I'm gonna put this in D tier. This is one I've had for a while. This goes at least above Bandito. I've had for a while. I'm not huge on social deduction games, and this one's fine. Maybe I could be convinced C tier, but it's just one I've kind of grown out of. Next is The Crew, Mission to Deep Sea and Quest for Planet 9. I will put Deep Sea in S tier. Maybe do I put Bonanza above? I'm gonna have to figure out the order as I go, but I'm gonna put The Crew A tier. I would say, the original would have been S until the sequel came out. Now the sequel is an S. It's just, I really like trick-taking games, co-op trick-taking. They really nailed it. And with the Mission Deep Sea, with the scalable difficulty missions, I think it just makes it even better. And The Crew is just a phenomenal game and one that I'll definitely keep around for a long time. I did get rid of the original, but I'd still put it in A tier because it's super solid. Okay, moving right along to Curious Cargo, the 2-player game where you're dueling factories. I really like this game. I'd put it in A tier. Super interesting concept. You're head-to-head dueling, and there's a little, like, you're placing pipes, and there's like a tile placement. And what's cool is as you send goods away from your factory, then your opponent can steal it. And as your opponent sends items, you could try to steal it. It's a very interesting game, and it has a pretty fun solo mode. So A tier it shall be. Next is Decrypto, the deciphering word game. I'm gonna put this in S tier. Word games I'm not crazy about, but this one I really, really like. I think it's probably my favorite word game. I'll leave it at the bottom of S tier, but I still think it belongs. Very fun. Defrag, I recently picked this up. It's a cool game. I'd put it in B tier. The theme is cool. It's a little confusing to play at first, but it has some cool game modes, and it's just a fun kind of spatial puzzle. I quite like it. Detective. This is the one exception of games. I think I've only played this once, and I really should play it more, but at this point, it's been so long since I've played it that I've kind of screwed myself on it. I liked it in concept. I've only played it once though, so I can't really give it a fair shot, but I'm gonna put it in B tier. It seemed pretty fun for what it was, but I just didn't get a chance to play it more. Dominion, that's gonna be going in C tier. Ooh, yeah, it's maybe low B. Maybe okay. Before everybody freaks out, I'll put it in like low B. I think it's fine. I like deck building games. They're not my favorite, and I think Dominion is pretty good, but it seems pretty. It's kind of boring to me. I don't know. I'm not crazy about it. Doom Machine, a print and play game. I think you can get this in a non-print and play version. I'd put this in B tier, maybe above Detective, maybe above Defrag 2 and Dominion and all of these. Something like right there. It's quite fun. Little dice chucking game, has a cool art to it. I quite like it. Yeah, next is the Fallout board game. So I'm a big Fallout fan. I really liked the board game at first, but the more I played it, the more I kind of cooled on it and I didn't like it as much. I'd say I'd put it in B tier. It's with the expansions, it makes it better, but I don't know. It's cool for it's what it is, but it's nothing that blows me away anymore. And I've kind of, like I said, cooled in it a little bit. Next is Fantastic Factories, the engine building dice placement game. Engine building is one of my favorite types of games, and this is one of my favorites. So this goes in S tier easily. I'd put it maybe here. I think that's pretty appropriate. It's one of my earlier games and one that I still greatly enjoy. I did a whole series. That was one of my first series on the channel, was me versus Ruby the Robot with all the different companies. Food Chain Island, the Button Shy game. I'm gonna put this in A tier. I really like it. It's a fun concept for a game, pretty brain burny, takes up a lot of space, but I quite like it. For Northwood, the solo trick taking game, S tier, easily. I'd maybe put it, I'm gonna put it at the bottom of S tier, but I still think it belongs in S tier. Phenomenal game, great artwork. It's a version of the Emissary from the Isoluto collection made by Will Su, but refined and made better and with more cards and powers and all that stuff. Friday, D tier. I do not like Friday. Wish I did, because a lot of people do, but I just did not vibe with it at all. Gaia Project. I'm gonna put this in A tier, but low A tier. It's maybe a little bit higher than that, something like right there. It's one I quite like. I like sci-fi and space. It's just one I haven't gotten to play enough to get good at, and so I regularly get stomped. Not that I need to be good at a game to like it, but I think there's a lot to like about it, and with how the energy works, and it's fun. I'm not a huge fan of the AI, how you have to like run all of that, but whatever. I think it's a good game and one I definitely want to play more. Next is The Game. By far the worst name for a game ever. Naming it The Game is the stupidest thing. I don't know why they did that. I'm gonna put this in, I think, D tier, maybe low C tier. I'll put it in low C. I don't think it belongs in D, but it's one that's just okay. I like co-op games. You're just building numbers up or downwards. There's some fun things you could do with jumping around, but it's pretty simplistic, pretty basic. There's a lot of other games I would rather play than this. Next is The Gang. I've only recently played this. I've only played it a couple times. Made by the same people who made The Crew, but it's co-op poker, Texas Hold'em specifically. I liked it. I wasn't blown away by it though. As someone that's not big in poker, the theme is cool. We didn't play with too many of the like specialists and challenge cards. I'm gonna tentatively put it in high B tier. Next up is A Gentle Rain. Okay, so very chill game. I'm gonna put it in B tier as well. A bit abstract. It's not my favorite, but it is a very nice and fun, chill game. Gloomhaven Buttons and Bugs. Maybe the only version of Gloomhaven I like. I guess I don't have Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion on here. I did have that at one point. Oops, forgot one. I'm gonna put this also in B tier, maybe above Fallout. It's by far my favorite version of Gloomhaven, but I'm not a huge fan of the whole card system in Gloomhaven. And I like this version because it's compact and it doesn't take a while to set up and tear down, and it's quick to play and it's solo only. But yeah, I'm just not a huge Gloomhaven fan personally. Hadrian's Wall, the flip and right game. I really like this one. I'm putting this in A tier, maybe above Brass Birmingham, almost S tier. I think that's where it belongs. It's a bigger flip and right game, but I really like the theme of it, how it plays. It feels very combo-y, where you do a thing and you get a thing, and then you can use that thing over here to do another thing. And it's very fun. The solo campaign is awesome. A tier's where it belongs. Hanabi, the co-op game that's very unique in that you don't see your hand of cards, you show it to other people. It's cool in concept. I'm putting it in low C tier. I ended up getting rid of it because though I do love co-op games, this one just I didn't vibe with very much. Hive Pocket Edition, basically chess but with bugs and no board. I'm gonna put this also in C tier, maybe below Cockroach Poker. It's cool, but I'm not a big abstract fan. I'd much rather play this than something like chess, but I don't know, I wasn't too crazy about it. Still have it, but who knows for how long. One nice thing about Hive is you can play it outside pretty easily. You don't have to worry about wind or anything like that. You don't have a board, so you just have these little tiles, and it's pretty nice. Imperium Legends, oh boy. Deck building game, one that I just didn't vibe with. I'm gonna put it in C tier, maybe below Hive. I wanted to like it more and it was very hyped up, but the deck building didn't feel very good to me, and the rules felt pretty clunky and it felt kind of cumbersome to learn. So maybe it's a me thing, but I just wasn't too blown away by it. Jump Drive, I like engine building games, and oh boy, this is an engine building game. Let me zoom out a little bit because this is gonna get a little bit more tricky to start maneuvering. I'm gonna put it below Bullet Heart, but I think it belongs in the top of S tier. It's a version of Race for the Galaxy, but quicker, simpler, more fun, I think. I'm gonna rank Race for the Galaxy later, but spoiler alert, it's not an S tier game in my opinion, but I think Jump Drive absolutely is. The solo campaign is great. It's one of my favorite games. Just One, the co-op word game. I'm gonna put this in A tier. I quite like it. It's nothing crazy. I'm gonna put it at the bottom of A tier, but it's a fun, simple game that you can play with anybody. It's a nice, like, first game of the night. I quite like it. Le Havre by Uwe Rosenberg. I haven't played this in quite a while. I'm gonna put it in B tier. It's pretty solid. I liked the theme. I don't have many Uwe Rosenberg games. I think these are my only two, is Bonanza and Le Havre, and I like Bonanza better. But Le Havre does have some pretty cool stuff going on, so I'm gonna put it in B tier. Next, we got Love Letter. What is this? I don't even know, like a deduction style game. I quite like this because it's very portable. This is like one of the few games, like if I'm going out to like a bar with friends, this will be one of the games I bring. I have kind of cooled on it over the years. I would still maybe put it in B tier. Maybe towards the top of B tier. It's pretty simple, but I like it. Pretty quick to play. I like the little components for it. It's good. Next we got Kanban EV. Oh boy, Vita Lacerda. This game I lose all the time, but I love the theme of it. The car factory, I think it's Ian O'Toole artwork, looks great. I'm gonna put it in low A tier. It's one of those games that I don't think I've ever even come close to winning, but I really like the idea of it, and it's a lot to play, and there's a good amount for the solo mode to kind of for upkeep, but I really like it. Keyforge, that goes in S tier. Let me drag that up to S tier. I put it above Compile. I don't even know. I'm ranking all of Keyforge. We'll put it like here-ish. That's good to me. By far my favorite like trading card game, even though it's not like a trading card game. The decks are individually unique, which I think is such a cool concept. They have their own names and card arts. The decks are wholly unique. There will never be another deck like it. There's a couple of solo adventures that are really fun for this. It's a great game. I love Keyforge and hope it never goes away, but you know, maybe one day it will, because it's not doing too hot, but who knows. Next is Mini Rogue. I printed and played this, but I think it is available for purchase. Pretty neat game. I'm gonna put in B tier. I wasn't too blown away by it. It had some pretty limited decision space to me, and yeah, I wasn't too crazy about it. The Mind, one of the first games in my collection, and I got rid of it because I think it's a D tier game. I hate to use the word gimmicky, but it really feels gimmicky after a few plays to me. I love co-op games, but it just, I don't know. Once I played it a few times, it kind of lost its uniqueness to me, and it just felt kind of samey and, like I said, gimmicky. So I'm putting it in D tier. I'd put at least Coup above that. Monopoly Deal. Okay, so this is gonna be a bit of a hot take maybe. Monopoly Deal definitely goes in A tier. Maybe towards the top of A tier, borderline S tier. I don't know. Do I put it? I'm gonna put it in S tier. You know what? So here's the thing. I will quickly say this now. I don't have regular Monopoly on this list. If I did, it would absolutely go in D tier for me. But Monopoly Deal is a small, compact version of Monopoly that is like you take Monopoly, but you actually make it fun. And you make it like a 15-20 minute card game, but it still has a lot of the feeling of normal Monopoly where you're charging rent and screwing people over and taking their stuff. And it's just so fun. It's a fun version of Monopoly that doesn't take forever to play, and there's not a lot of weird house rules that everybody uses. By far my favorite game to bring to like a bar if I'm going with friends. Monopoly Deal, maybe a bit controversial take. I think it belongs in S tier. Munchkin, D tier. I put it below Coup. I've heard it described as 30 minutes of fun in a 3-hour game, and I would agree. It's got some decent concepts, but it was one of the first games in my collection, but I got rid of it because it just, after a few bad gameplays of it and stuff where people died, and dying's weird in the game, and then you get to the end and everybody's just like, no one wants the person to win, like it just drags on, and I don't know. It's one that I very much cooled on. Next Station London. I'm gonna put this in C tier. I like it. Maybe B tier. I think it's a little bit better. It's good, but as far as like flipping right transit games, we're gonna get to Railroad Ink in a bit, but it's okay. No thanks. More like no thanks. Bottom of C tier. Maybe not bottom. I'd put it maybe like here in C tier. It's an interesting concept, set collection game, but one I've really cooled on. I just would rather play a lot of other games than this. Noobs in Space, a very unique game. It's co-op space game. We're completing tasks. I quite like it. I've played through all of it at least once. I'm gonna put it in like B tier. It's a cool concept. It's very fun. One Deck Dungeon, one of the other first games in my collection. My first couple games are like The Mind, Munchkin, One Deck Dungeon, Cockroach Poker, and Skull. I think are like the first 4 or 5 games. One Deck Dungeon, I'm gonna put in C tier. Maybe I'd put it above some of these. I'm being generous, but dice games, I do like some, but they need a good amount of mitigation, and I don't know, if One Deck Dungeon felt pretty samey and swingy and just not a lot of interesting decisions, and I don't know. I mean, you do have some when you kill a monster, you can use it for XP or the item or the ability. I think that's pretty cool. Multi-use cards, I'm a big fan of, but I'm not. Yeah, One Deck Dungeon I've cooled on. It does have a great app. I have the app and I quite like it, but yeah, the card game, not so much. Orchard, the 9-card solitaire card game. I'm gonna put this in B tier, high B tier. Very fun, very chill card game where it does have dice, but you're not using them to roll. You're just using them to place trees on top of other trees and grow your orchard. Pretty simple, pretty fun. Nothing too crazy, so I think I'll put it in B tier. So we're moving right along to Palm Island. I'm gonna put this in A tier if I can drag it up here. We'll put it like mid A tier. I think this is a great game. You could play it in the palm of your hands. By far one of my favorite like travel games because you don't even need a table for it. You can just play it in your hand and it's super simple. The cards are like nice PVC, waterproof. It has like achievements that you could try to do. It's very fun. It's kind of engine buildy, very fun. And then you have the sequel, Palm Laboratory, which I also like. I would say a little bit less. I haven't played this as much, but I'm gonna still rank it A tier, but just slightly lower. I do think I like Palm Island better, but Palm Laboratory has some interesting stuff going on with like the minions or whatever that you can unlock. And like I said, I haven't played it as much, so I can't speak too much on it. Pandemic, D tier. Also one of my first games, got rid of it. 2 things I don't really like. I don't like abstract games that much, and I don't like area control games. And Pandemic, I'll bring this up with another game that I don't love the feeling of you start with a board on fire, and then as you try to put out the fire, more fires start up, and it's just, that doesn't feel fun to me. I know some people may like that. I have realized I don't, and so that's why I got rid of Pandemic, and it's a D tier game for me. Pocket Paragons, a very unique little a two-player card battler. It's kind of like a glorified rock paper scissors type mechanic, but there's a bit more to it than that. I think it's pretty solid. I'm gonna put it in B tier. It's maybe towards the top of B tier. I think it's really unique, very interesting, very fun. You know, there's other two-player games I'd rather play, you know, Compile or Keyforge, if I'm just looking for like a head-to-head battler, but it's still very interesting. It plays very quick. It doesn't take up a lot of table space. You could basically play it standing up. Pretty cool game. Point City. City starts with C, so it goes in C. No, I do think it is a C tier game. Set collection games I'm not crazy about. I say that as I have Bonanza in the S tier, but there are exceptions to the rule. But Point City I think is pretty okay. I'd maybe put it at the top of C tier, maybe even borderline B tier. I'm gonna keep it in C for now. I think it's a cool theme. I've played Point Salad and I like it better than Point Salad. I like the artwork in it, but it's just okay, I think. Next we got Powerline, a little dice rolling and placing game. I'm gonna put this in B tier, maybe somewhere like here, somewhere like there. Cool concept, cool theme. I haven't played it that much and haven't played it recently, but it's one I remember liking quite a bit, and I think B tier feels pretty appropriate. Race for the Galaxy. I'm gonna put this in B tier. I know that's controversial because, like I said, I have Jump Drive in S tier, and I think it deserves that. But Race for the Galaxy, maybe I'd put it like in high B tier, like somewhere up here. But I don't know if it's A tier. And I know it's like a evergreen game for some people, and I get it, and I've played it a lot. But as someone who's like played the app a bunch, I think it's okay. But I think Jump Drive is just way better. It's way more my style, and yeah, that's where it's going. Rage More, the Button Shy game. I am gonna put this in C tier. It's okay. Haven't played it in a while. Maybe I'll put it like pretty far down. I wasn't too crazy about it. It has some interesting concepts. I haven't played in a while, so I can't speak too much on it, but it was one I remember liking, but just not loving. Railroad Inc., the roll and write game. This doesn't go in B tier. I got to kind of scroll up. This goes in S tier. This is one of my first, early games I got, and I think it deserves to stick around because it's probably my favorite roll and write game. I think that's fair to say. It just does it great. It's so simple, so good. It also is a great game that you can play outside. You just have your boards and your dice and your markers. I have the blue version that has a couple of mini expansions. I much prefer just playing the original base game. I don't mind the Rivers expansion. I don't like the Lakes expansion. If I have my preference, I just play the base game, and I think it's a great, simple S tier game. Now we have Railroad Inc. Green Challenge. I'm gonna put this in B tier, honestly, probably right about there. That feels pretty good to me. Railroad Inc., like I said, I like the base game, so when you start adding more onto it, I don't know, it's fine. I'll be generous and put it low A tier. I think there's some cool things it does with like the universities, and you have like extra bonuses, you have goals to go for. But what I like about Railroad Inc., the original, is just it's so chill. You're just making your thing. You're not worrying about a bunch of other stuff. But with the Inc. challenge, you have like these goals you got to worry about, and you're trying to get these universities and all this other stuff. And it feels like a lot more. And if you like more, then maybe you'll like that version more. But I just like the chill and simplicity of the original. All right, moving right along is Robinson Crusoe. I wanted to like this game more. I just didn't. I'm gonna put it in C tier, but pretty low C tier, almost D tier. Put it at the bottom of C. It has some cool concepts. It has different scenarios and some stuff I wanted to like, but it just didn't vibe with me. I don't know. Maybe it was the theme. Not quite sure. I like the idea of a survival theme, and I have some Fallout's like post-apocalyptic, but I also didn't like Friday, so I don't know. Maybe it's just something with this series, but who knows? Next is Search for Planet X, a deduction space game that goes in A tier. It is pretty dang solid. I'll put it somewhere like right here. I feel is pretty appropriate. The original Search For game. They now have Search for Lost Species, and their newest edition, which I also have, the Search for UAPs. I would also put this in A tier. I'd put it slightly higher. I think both are good. I like Search for UAPs better. It has a couple of interesting extra things where you have a board that you're moving around. You can only do stuff in the sector you're in. And also each of the 4 sectors has some unique modifiers that I think just change up the game quite a bit. They also have some cool like spinning player boards that are magnetic. And I think all the stuff they changed in it, I like it for the better. I still don't know if it's, maybe I put it a little bit higher. I quite like it. And I like it a decent amount more than Planet X, but I do like both because I like deduction games. So looks pretty good to me. He's Simple Life. It's a chill, roll and write, Stardew Valley kind of game. It's been a while since I've played this. I've only played it a handful of times. But going off of what I remember, I'm going to put it in high C tier, low B tier. I'm going to put low B tier. Maybe above Mini Rogue. Like I said, I don't have too much to say about it because it's been a while since I played it, but I remember it being pretty fun and pretty chill. Sky Team, the 2-player co-op game. This is flying its way up to the top of S tier. I might have to rearrange these a little bit. Bonanza really blew me away. I like Arkham, but I'm going to move it down a little bit just because it does take a while to play and set up and all of that. Sky Team, what can I say? I like co-op games, and this is just one of the best I've played. It's so thematic. It plays so quick. There's so many airports. It's just the board is so unique. It's just so unique and interesting and fun and good, and an S tier game by far. Next up, we have Skull, the bluffing betting game. I'm gonna put this in C tier. Maybe I put it above Azul. Azul feels pretty high. We'll keep Azul. Skull's fun. Also one of the early games I've had in my collection. Still have it. It's not one I love. I don't know, maybe betting and bluffing just isn't my style. It does play pretty quick. It's pretty interesting, but I don't know. It's one I've definitely cooled on. Slay the Spire, the board game. Man, oh man, oh man, what a game this is. Not top, but towards the top of S tier, I think is where this deserves to be. This is coming from somebody who has played the video game, but not a ton. I like the board game better. I said it. I don't know. I'm more of a board game guy than a video game guy these days, and it's a more simplified version. It's one that I like more, and the fact that I can play it with other people cooperatively. Did I mention I like co-op? You could play it cooperatively. It's a phenomenal game. The production is super, super solid, besides some peeling card sleeves, which the company did send me replacements for. It is an expensive game. I did get the collector's edition. It has a lot of unnecessary stuff, but that's what a collector's edition is for. And it's one I'm super happy I got, one I've played a ton and will continue to play a lot in the future. It has the ascension levels that you can make it more difficult. You have cards to unlock. There's like the daily climb modes to add like unique modifiers. There's lots of replayability, the different maps, the different tokens for the map. I love Slay the Spire, the board game. It deserves to be in. I think this is a pretty good top 3 what we got going on. Next, we got Space Empires 4X. This, I believe, will be going into the top of A tier. Maybe I'll bump it down a little. I think Search for UAP should be a little bit higher. Maybe this goes like that. This feels a little bit better. Space Empires 4X, it's a 4X style game, and it's one that feels really good to me. Granted, I haven't played it multiplayer, only solo, but the solo mode can feel pretty samey, so maybe I'll bump it down a little bit for that. But I think there's a couple expansions which I don't have for it. I haven't played it multiplayer, but it's a really interesting game, and I think I haven't really tried many 4X style games, but I've played some games that like claim to be kind of like a Civilization style game, but this is one that really feels like a Civilization, even though it's space. If you've ever played the game that I'm blanking on the name of, it was like a space civ game. I'll put it on the screen if I remember in the future what it's called. I played it a few times, but this, it's a unique feeling game, I feel like, and I really like it. Spot It. I'll spot it in C tier. This is one game I got because I think I saw it on a show or something, and it's unique. It's a bit like of a kid's game, I would say. But what's cool is it has cards with symbols, and there's like a bunch of different games that you could play with these cards. A lot of them are like dexterity and reaction style games, which is fun. And I do like, I don't know if it's dexterity, but like, I guess it would be where you're just trying to act quickly. And speed is what counts. It's fun. I cooled it a little bit. We'll put it in C tier. Next, we got Sprawlopolis, the original Opolis game. I'm gonna put that not in bottom of B. I'll maybe put it a little bit. I'm gonna put it in B, I think, but a little bit higher in B. Maybe somewhere like here. Feels pretty good. I like it more than Agropolis. I feel like they're pretty similar, almost to the point that maybe they could be next to each other. But I do think, I don't know. It's been a while since I played either. Maybe Agropolis could be better. Honestly, maybe it is, because I remember some stuff being a little bit, because it has like the farms and whatnot, and some of the Sprawlopolis goals I remember being kind of tricky. So this feels pretty appropriate, but I think they're pretty comparable, but nothing crazy. I'd put them both in B tier. Solid games, but nothing too wild. Okay. All right. I've already said games that kind I like and kinds I don't like. So Spirit Island is one that just did not click with me. Don't hate me, but it's going in C tier. I'm gonna put it, you know, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and put it a little bit higher in C tier. But like I said, you know, I don't like Pandemic, where you have like an area control of the board starts on fire, and as you're trying to put it out, more fires start up, and that's Spirit Island. And Spirit Island also is pretty abstract, which I don't mind too much, but it's not my favorite. It has asymmetric player powers, which I do like. And it's kind of deck building, maybe, sort of, if I remember correctly, but it's just one I wanted to like, and I know people love, but it's just one that did not click with me. I'm not saying it's a bad game, just saying it's not for me, so don't come at me. Next, we have Star Tycoon. The space, I don't know, we're running a space company. I'm gonna put this in A tier, maybe high A tier. I really liked this. Had some very interesting things going on. Mainly, I loved the stock board in the middle, where you have different resources that have different values that fluctuate throughout the game. So at some point, you know, this resource might be super cheap, and then as it gets bought up, then it's going to become expensive. And the solo mode plays great. The companies are interesting. The art's great. It's a super solid game, and one that I really like, and I think belongs in A tier, maybe even S tier. We'll keep it in A tier for now, but I'll put it above Brass. I'll maybe even bump it up now that I'm thinking about it and where it might go. Maybe even above Search. I think top of A tier feels appropriate. Maybe at the end, I'll make some last minute adjustments here. Next, we have Stardew Valley, the board game. Moving this up to S tier. I'll put it a little bit lower, but I think it still belongs in S tier. Once again, I fall in a similar category with Slay the Spire. I've played the video game, not a ton, enough to be pretty familiar with it. I like the board game better than the video game at this point, and I would say easily with Slay the Spire and Stardew, I have put more hours in the board game at this point than the video game. But Stardew, it's a co-op game that follows the game somewhat, where you have goals that you're trying to complete. You have a year to complete them. And you can kind of specialize in different tools and areas. And there's like the mine, and there's like a fishing mini game and all of this. The one complaint I have heard people say that's kind of valid is it is a bit of a game where you have to be careful with your actions and spend them wisely. And it can be a bit stressful for what is supposed to be a very chill game that's based off of a very chill and relaxing video game. So it can be a bit more stressful, but I really like it. I mean, I think it's very fun. There's like a 5-year variant that Maggie from Thinker Themer made that's quite fun, so I think it belongs in S tier. Next, we have Startups, the Oink game. You're running startup companies. I've only played this a few times. I'm not huge on set collection, but I quite liked this one. I'm gonna put it in a little bit higher A tier, so maybe something like that. Let me move this up a little bit. I don't know. Like I said, I'm going to rearrange stuff, but it was quite fun. I liked the art in it. I like how it played. I thought it was interesting with the anti-monopoly chips. And then there's the big reveal at the end. Once the cards are empty, like the cards in your hand also count towards the cards that you're investing in. And it was really fun. I haven't played it too much. I think like only 3 games, but it's enough to make the list, and it was enough to make A tier. So it's definitely one I want to play more of. Suburbia, specifically Suburbia, the collector's edition is the one I have. I'm gonna put this in probably B tier, maybe high B tier, above Race for the Galaxy. This is a game I really like. It does take a while to kind of set up, especially if you're getting like the specific, whatever they are, themed tile sets. But as far as the city building game, I quite like how it works, and I think it's a very unique and fun one. You know what? I'm putting it bottom of A tier, maybe above Railroad Inc. I really like it. It's one I played a ton on my channel when I first started. I did a whole series on it, and one that I should play again at some point because it's been a while. But I like city building games as a concept, and this one I think does it pretty well. Next we have Sunshine City. Speaking of city building games, this is a print and play game. I'm gonna put this in D tier. I maybe low C tier. I just don't. I've only played it a few times. It's been a while since I played it, and I haven't returned to it. I don't remember being too crazy about it. Maybe I'll put it bottom of C tier. I think that's where it belongs. I don't have much else to say. Maybe I'm being unfair about it, but that's what I remember, and that's how I feel. Next we have Supermarché, a print and play game, which I maybe I shouldn't have included print and play games, but I only have a few, so. This one I quite liked. You're running a supermarket, and it was a bit of an economic game. I thought it was pretty interesting. I'm gonna put it in B tier, maybe above the other print and play games of Simple Life and Mini Rogue. I guess Doom Machine is still a bit. Where's Doom Machine? It's somewhere higher. But yeah, I think that feels pretty good for Supermarché. All right, we're getting pretty close. I need to keep moving along. Sushi Go Party, the set collection game. I like Sushi Go. I think it's a B tier game. Yeah, put it pretty high in B tier. It's not one of my favorites. Set collection I'm okay on. Next we got Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza. Has a C in the name, it's getting a C tier. That's not why, but I do think it belongs there. I do like these quick reaction time games, but there's a game that you can play with a deck of cards called Egyptian Rat Screw that is very similar to Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza, and I think way better, in my opinion. But this is a better, like, family-friendly game, has some goofy stuff in it. I'd maybe put it actually a little bit lower in C tier. It's one that I liked when I played it originally, but I've definitely cooled on. Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition. Boy, oh boy. I like engine building games. Terraforming Mars I played a little bit of, but this one I wasn't too crazy about. I'll put it a little bit higher in C tier. The solo mode was fine, but really difficult. The co-op mode was just kind of weird with like the action cubes, and I don't know, I wasn't crazy about it. Gonshan Clever, or That's Pretty Clever. I'm gonna put it in B tier. I like it, but wasn't too crazy about it. I'll put it, a little bit higher in B tier. I feel like Solar Sentinels needs to move maybe down a little bit. It's looking a little bit too high in B tier for my liking. Yeah, so that feels pretty good. Three Sisters, the roll and write game of planting a garden. I think it's quite good. Nothing too crazy. I'm gonna put it maybe in low A tier. Low A tier behind Suburbia feels pretty good. I like the theme, good artwork. Ticket to Ride, low C tier. Do not like it. The route building, I guess, is not for me. I got rid of this. Yeah, I know it's a classic, but meh. Next, we got all the Tiny Epics. I'll try to rapid fire through these. Tiny Epic Dinosaurs. These are all going to be pretty similar, if I'm going to be honest. I'm going to put this in low C tier. I've really cooled on pretty much all the Tiny Epics. I'm going to put them Tiny Epic Dungeons. I almost want to rank D tier. It was such a letdown. The icons are confusing. It feels kind of like a dungeon crawler, but you're just worrying about like the torches and the goblins, and I don't know. It's a little bit too much. Galaxies is okay. I'd put that like higher C tier. Western is definitely my favorite. Maybe put that in like low B tier. Zombies is pretty good. Maybe I'd put that like below Galaxies. Sure. Sorrow, it's fine. I got rid of it. It's just abstract game, very, very simple. I'll put it in C tier. Turing Machine, that does not belong in B tier. I gotta scroll up to put it in S tier. Boy, is this a good game. I love deduction games. I'm a bit of a computer guy, so this is just a S tier game for me. Absolutely phenomenal deduction game. Love playing it solo, plays great co-op. I've only played it once ever competitive because I just don't want to play it that way. I don't think that's as fun. Dopplet So Clever, I'm gonna just put it right next to That's Pretty Clever. I feel pretty indifferent between those two. Twilight Inscription, the epic space flip and right, roll and write game. That's A tier. It's phenomenal. Do I put it above Hadrian's Wall? I think I put it above Hadrian's Wall. It's really good. It is really, really good. Do I put it above UAP? I think I do. Yeah, it's super, super good. I need to play this more. I haven't played the original Twilight Imperium, but I really like Twilight Inscription. Ugly Griffin Inn gets a big C tier for me. My least favorite with these button shy games. Unsurmountable though, pretty solid. I'd put it in B tier. It's good. I'd put it maybe, yeah, somewhere around here in B tier. Warp's Edge, the bag building game, I think I'll put in B tier as well. Maybe a bit high of a B tier, but it's actually maybe a bit lower, like there. It's fine. I've kind of cooled on it. It's B tier to me. Welcome to the Neighborhood, pretty chill flip and right game. I'm gonna put it in C tier. Just did. It's maybe low B tier actually. I've had some good times playing it. It's pretty chill, pretty fun. Yeah, now I'm thinking about it, I'll put it there. Welcome to the Moon was a big disappointment for me. I'm putting it in D tier, honestly. I wanted to like it more. I like sci-fi. Just did not click with me, especially after I played through like a bunch of them. It's like each thing you got to relearn, and it was fine. It was not fine. It was D tier to me. And finally, last but not least, World of Warcraft, Wrath of the Lich King, a pandemic game. I'm gonna put this in low B tier. You know, even though Pandemic is D tier, this fixes a few things in it, and it's still one that I'm not a huge fan of. I mean, I like some of the World of Warcraft lore and recognize some of that. So like the characters, I understand a bit more, and yeah, it's good. It's better than Pandemic, but it's still not the best. Okay, so I'm gonna take a quick second to maybe make some final rearrangements, and then we'll go over the final list. Okay, I feel pretty happy with this. I could adjust stuff more, but I feel like this feels pretty good. I didn't move anything between like ranks in the tier list, just kind of in the tiers themselves. So here you go. I'll do a quick scroll through, but my S tier games are Bullet Heart at number 1, Jump Drive at number 2, Slay the Spire at number 3, then Sky Team, Turing Machine, Bonanza, The Crew, Stardew Valley, Keyforge, Fantastic Factories, Compile, Railroad Inc., Decrypto, Arkham Horror the card game, For Northwood, and Monopoly Deal. And I'll do a slow scroll through if you want to pause and see where stuff is at. These are obviously my current rankings, and if I will plan on doing another one of these next year, and I'm sure my rankings will be a lot different. I got my B tiers, lots of ones in B's and C's, and then yeah, my D tier games of Welcome to the Moon, Tiny Epic Dungeons, Coop, Munchkin, Pandemic, The Mind, Friday, and Bandito. So there you go. You know, Bonanza, I've only recently played, and it jumped up to S tier. Who knows if it'll stay there? Maybe on further plays it'll move down. I imagine it might, maybe it won't, I don't know. But I feel like this pretty accurately represents how I feel about all the games that are either currently in my collection or have been in my collection. So that's about it for this video. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think of this tier list. Do you have anything you absolutely disagree with? Do you like my S tier games? Are there some you haven't played? Are there some that you think you've played in my S tier games you wouldn't rank? Let me know. I'd love to hear your feedback on what you think of this list. This video has been going on long enough, so I'm gonna wrap up here. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, a like is always greatly appreciated. And until next time, I'll see ya.